Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ninja Turtle here, and we're covering a brand new custom recently finished. This is a modern black cat costume, specifically using those words, as this is what she is wearing in the comic books at the time of this recording. And she does have various looks, and it's sometimes hard to identify. In fact, I didn't really even notice how different this costume was compared to her classic version until I started looking at the details. And this does not exist. This is a custom Marvel Legend that is not made by, it's made with Hasbro parts, but Hasbro has not made this specific black cat costume at this moment. So I went ahead and did it. I don't think they're going to. They possibly could, but they're definitely not going to do it the way I made it if they were to do it whatsoever. So if this impressed you, make sure you, one, hit that subscribe button so you can get more content on custom figures, but two, just take note, because I will let you know where all these parts and pieces came from. We're going to start from the bottom to the top, and like I said, this is comic book inspired, so this is not based off any fan art or video game or my own head canon or anything like that. She actually is wearing this costume right now. However, I did make some modifications and just changed a few things, but I'll go over that. Let's start at the bottom. Everything's pretty standard for what it's worth. I mean, they're just black flats. I know a lot of fan art will put Black Cat in heels. Heck, even Hasbro put her in heels for their first figure. That's up to you. I don't think it makes sense, and she doesn't really wear heels all that often in the books. It's usually kind of like the fan art, fan service type of artists that even our comic book artists that will put her in heels anyway, but still, she's supposed to have flats or maybe some sort of boot, but for the most part, they're just black flats. Now, all of the black on this figure, other than the black on her face and all of that, but everything on this figure has been glossed over or with a gloss finish, so you might not notice it too well right now, but it is a gloss all over the figure, so it's not the matte finish, which is what I would normally use on most figures. And she does have a matte finish on all of the white fur and stuff like that. Her skin tone, her face, etc. has a matte finish. It's again a little hard to see, especially in this lighting, but it is a glossy black as opposed to a flat black or a matte black. As far as the legs go, so the legs themselves are Netflix Electra legs. So they are normally blue jeans, or actually black jeans. But two things that had to be done. Because they're jeans, the way Hasbro do it, on the ankles, they would have the jeans rolled up until about the ankles, and then they have like flesh tone at the bottom of the ankle. Don't fall over on me now. But they would have like flesh tone down here, especially like the case for like Mary Jane. They have the same kind of legs, but for what it's worth, I sanded off that big hump that would be the bottom of the jeans, and then also the line that is going up and down on the side of the jeans, as well as the pockets on these hips. All of that was sanded away because we just wanted to have the bodysuit look without it looking like jeans. Now, there are legs that are bodysuit legs that Hasbro makes. They're a little bit thicker, a little fuller legs. Personally, this is headcanon. Black Cat, I think she is a little thinner than using those legs, but that's to each his own. I will cover that shortly. In fact, let's go ahead and do that now, because there's some relevant things off of this figure that we need to discuss. So, like I said, this is a Black Cat that Hasbro makes, and I use it fairly frequently because of all of the very, very useful pieces. I consider this an all new, all different Black Cat. I'm not 100% sure if that is the designation, but that's how I identify it. these legs are bodysuit legs, and they are, like I said, they are a little bit bigger, little thicker than these Electra legs. So these are like skinny jeans, and then these are bodysuit. These are a lot easier to obtain, and heck, they look nice. So if you would rather like use these legs, go for it. This black is like a charcoal color, where this is like a full deep black with gloss paint on it. So if I were going to use these, I would just repaint them black anyway. Just like I repainted these were black as well for the black jeans on Electra. But you know, to each his own. If you want to use these legs, if you want to use thicker legs, it's your custom. Do whatever you want. But for what it's worth, all of this fur that's on the sides of the arms and the legs of this black cat came from this black cat. So I took these legs and just like split it in half, and just took little pieces and glued it on the side, on each side of the legs there. And then the fur that's on this hand, cut it in half and then split it here on each side of her arms. So, and painted them white, obviously. And of course you can see they have the same hairstyle, so I use this hair. I do think this is a very, very black cat style hairstyle. So for what it's worth, all of my black cats will have, well, I won't say all, I won't make that promise, but I would like to use this hair on black cats in general, unless I find something that's a little bit more appropriate and looks good. But this hair works really well, so I didn't even modify the hair whatsoever. It's not cut, it's not painted or anything. It's just took it off of here and put it on this head, which I will cover the head shortly. But these are the same arms that are on this black cat, but again repainted. This, like I said, this is like a charcoal color, and then I repainted them in actual black with gloss on top of that. And the hands are the same body, same mold of hands, and it would be easier to use these hands because again they're already kind of black. But I didn't have this figure for fodder at the time of me making this custom black cat. So these hands are actually dark blue, like a navy blue, because they came from Hellcat, because I had an extra Hellcat sitting around, so I had to do what I had to do. But normally I would use these hands because they're already black, but the hands other than that are not modified, black, gloss paint, so on. So that's that. And then as far as this torso goes, let's see. So the lower torso is painted again, just a little bit, but for what it's worth, it is the lower torso from this Julia Carpenter Spider Woman. It's already black, you know, so all on the inside is black, so I didn't bother painting the inside there for the hips whatsoever. So no paint rub. As a matter of fact, the knees are painted on the outside, but the inside, the pins and the inside of the knees are not painted, so no paint rub there. Just do whatever you can to avoid that. But I removed the white here and just repainted it so that the black would all match, because this is black, but it's like a little bit lighter than the black paint, so it was repainted just a tad bit for that consistency. Now as far as the top goes, also this fur, I forgot to mention that on her neck, this is the same fur here too. So we took this little cat pendant off and just took it off of here and glued it onto this upper torso, which this upper torso comes from a Shikla figure. So it is normally pinkish color, repainted, but glued this fur on first, and then I fashioned a little zipper there that's just made from generic plastic that I resined for most of my customs and stuff. But for what it's worth, it's just generic plastic and glued on right at the bottom of the torso, like in between the, obviously you can see where it is, but yeah, it's just glued on. It is a hole, it is not painted on. You can actually poke things through it. It is hanging there, dangling. So that's a lot better to use than epoxy sculpt, because if you use epoxy sculpt there, you're most likely going to break it when you're trying to put this torso back together. So it works out. It's flexible. I wouldn't try flexing it because it's barely glued on there to begin with, so it'll probably just rip off. But it is glued on. So the choker comes from Blink. Just repainted it black and silver. And then as far as the face goes, this is the same face that is on the retro carded Black Cat that was recently released, I believe at the beginning of this year. So this is the same head, same face, slightly modified one because I wanted to paint the flesh tone over. So normally that Black Cat head is a little bit darker, a little bit warmer, but I had to match it with what I was painting here on her chest and her neck. So I repainted the flesh tone best I could, and I kept the eyeshadow in there. So it's just painted over the flesh tone. I did not paint over the eyeshadow. I did not paint over the eye color or the eyebrows or the lip color. All of that is the same original color. The mask itself, for the most part, is all the same as well. However, because that head sculpt had a different hair style, the hair was covering up some of the mask, or what would be the mask. So I had to repaint, because now all of this area is exposed. I had to paint this part here as well as some on this side of that black part of the mask so that it'd be more complete, and also covering up some of the mistakes and just fixing some of the issues of painting the flesh tone over the flesh tone plastic in general. So that hair fits on here pretty well. You see a little bit of paint back there in on the neck that's white back there, just to pretend that it's hair. And that's it for the most part. It's a pretty easy, even though it was a long-winded explanation, fairly easy because it's mostly black build, and just getting that fur on there was the most difficult thing, especially on the neck, because it's glued on the back and then fold it over and glue it towards her chest. Now, I had a desire to actually make 2 separate head sculpts, and I actually did do that because this is a modern Black Cat, but there was also an inspiration to make a second head sculpt based off of Chris Anka's version of Black Cat during this modern Black Cat run, where she had a ponytail during this issue. I can't remember what it was, the issue number, but she had a ponytail. She just went deep underground for this thing. She met up with Wolverine, who was Patch at the time, and she slung her hair into a ponytail and went into action. And I thought it was really cool, and I did make that alternate head. Unfortunately, I'm going to be continuing to display her with this main head, and here you go. You see it's pink, so that's Shikla, by the way. So I made this other head, and it didn't come out nearly as good as I hoped, though it's not the worst. It could have been worse, and trust me, I've done worse than this. So yeah, let's close up on that. I messed this up because of 2 things. Obviously, the mask itself is not painted on very well, but it's not painted on very well because I don't have a lot of space to space out the mask. One second, let's fix this here. I forgot to change the autofocus. Alright, so I didn't leave enough room because of this hair right here. All of that's epoxy sculpt. I sculpted that hair on, and I didn't make enough room on her face, her forehead, all that, to leave room for the mask. So I was kind of I don't know, just trying my best to fit it in there. But once the epoxy sculpt is on, it's on, and you know, I can rip it off if I wanted to, but then I had to start all over. But she had a darker lip color from Chris Anka, so I went with a darker lip color. It's just red, but with some black mixed in, and so it's a really, really deep dark red. And yeah, it's really the mask. The hair itself looks good. The ponytail comes from Lady Deadpool, so this is a Lady Deadpool ponytail. I was really excited that it kind of worked out, that it looks really nice painted white, and it looks really nice on this head. I just wish I didn't mess up the sculpt. Um, the hairlines are sculpted in. It's hard to see, I'm sorry, but the hairlines are sculpted in. It's just the forehead is not big enough, and I didn't have enough room to really get that mask on properly. So I'm sad about that, but in general I will keep her displayed with this head anyway, because it still looks really great with this head, and I didn't mess that one up, not too much at least. So yeah, let's go ahead and do some quick comparisons and we'll wrap this video up. Alright, so we got our obligatory Black Cat comparison. We have my custom Black Cat Spider-Man PS4 on the far left. We have this current custom modern Black Cat right here. We have the all new, all different. This is official Hasbro, and then also official Hasbro, the first Black Cat that they came. Oh God, what Build-A-Figure was that even on? I don't even remember. That was a long time ago, but I still have it. And first off, you can see the difference is she has heels, and this one has flats, and she's still taller. And then this one's also taller. So Black Cat should be this height for the most part. I actually wish I used this torso on this Black Cat at the time. I didn't realize how different things were, but it would have been better to use this torso or just any torso like that. It's all black like this. And I could have made this Black Cat taller. She's only taller right now because of the heels that she has on, or the boots that she has on. But for the most part, I wish I had did that. Despite that, yeah, this Black Cat I really dig. Now I do plan on, in the very least, attempting to remake both of these Black Cats. This is classic Black Cat. This is like her original look. However, she has on heels. This whole figure is a disaster, to be honestly. In my opinion, I think it looks good, and it looked good at the time, but for what it's worth, she's like super dark. The blue is too much for the white, and I do prefer just having white hair as opposed to forced shadows and forced highlighting color. Because in my opinion, like if you wanted to have that, you can use different lighting effects, or you can edit in Photoshop if you're a photographer, sort of thing. But this is permanent. You can't change this once it's painted that way. And this in general is heavy-handed. But for what it's worth, this figure is awful. No neck pin. The knees hyperextend too much. These heels are terrible, etc., etc. And I think she's too curvy. At the time, it was fantastic, and it still looks nice. There's certainly things that are looking nice, and I like the way this turned out. I might make with these legs. That's why I said these are really skinny. These are a little bit fuller. I do love these legs. They're like my favorite legs in general. I might make Black Cats with these legs going forward. There wouldn't be any difference if I use these legs on this one. She'd still be the same height. She'd just be a little curvier, and I'm thinking about it. I'm not 100% sure sold on either way, but these are a lot more accessible, so there's that. But I will definitely remake this. This is my fodder. This is probably the last time you'll see a video of this, because I'll probably remake this one and fodder this figure at some point, because I can still use this torso and these arms on someone else, and then I'll probably then remake this after that. So that way she'll be as tall as this, and then we can still use the same hair, and I don't know about this face, but we can still use the same hair. Again, this head comes from the retro carded Black Cat that came out this year, so it's definitely my favorite face for Black Cat. I think it looks just like Felicia, not like this one, not like this one. And this one is the Elektra head from the Netflix Elektra, so the same pants, goes with these pants. But this is PS4 Black Cat, so that's a whole nother ball game. Anyway, but yeah, I do plan on remaking this and this. So stay tuned for that. Alright, and the last comparisons of the day, mostly because I feel like showing off more of my customs. We have the customized J. Scott Campbell Mary Jane with Black Cat, the customized Black Cat. We have our Pizza Spider-Man, and we have the fan only, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Fan Fest, I think is what it's called, Silk figure. I put Silk up here because Black Cat and Silk do have a history. If you read Silk comics, then you would know Black Cat was kind of an antagonist for her, for what it's worth, but they were also kind of partners. It's been a little while, and obviously Spider-Man and all that, the love triangle, if you will. But yeah, that's it. We don't need to do anything in depth with this. Stay tuned. Any more Spider-Verse figures? I did say the Black Cats. Outside of that, I don't have any other Spider-Verse. Oh no, I'm lying. I do have a Spider-Verse character that is in the works. I've already kind of committed on what I'm going to do with it. I think it is Spider-Girl. I'm going to remake Mayday Parker. And then, because Hasbro made her way too small. So that's happening relatively soon. I don't know exactly how soon, but I think that's the next Spider-Verse thing I'll do, and then I'll probably circle back to Black Cat. Although, what's funny is the last thing I did, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I made this Mary Jane video, and I said that there's one that has a long shot to make, and recently, like within the last week or two, they revealed some Spider-Man Far From Home figures that are be coming out, and one of those is a Spider-Man with the basically the Iron Spider-Man again, or the Infinity War. I guess he's having another version of it, or it's coming back for the new movie, but he's gonna have those arms again, the metal arms, the four metal arms. So the other Mary Jane that I wanted to make is Mary Jane in this comic book version of the Iron Spider costume, which I also want to make another comic book version of Peter in that as well. I'm hoping Hasbro just does that and I don't have to do it myself, but I don't think they'll do a Mary Jane. So I think I will attempt that with Mary Jane. That's what I was teasing in that Mary Jane video, but that was before I knew that they were going to be releasing that. So if they're doing that, I'm going to try to grab the arms from extra Spider-Man and plop them onto a female body, and hopefully can turn it into Mary Jane wearing the Iron Spider costume, because I really would love to see that. Other than that, I think it's just Mayday though, and then who knows, some more Mary Janes, and of course, like I said, Black Cat's coming. Silk. Yeah, Silk. Now that I mention it, or now that she's here and I'm thinking about it, I am also planning on making a web costume for her. I don't know how well that's going to work, but it's going to look amazing, I can tell you that. But yeah, I do plan on doing that as well for Silk. So that might be coming before the end of the year. So if everything goes smoothly, and I continue to make these customs and knock them out, I probably will have, by the end of the year, another Black Cat, another Mary Jane, and Silk on this channel. And I will have videos for all of them. So I will see you guys next time. Make sure you subscribe so you can catch those videos and more. And I'll see you next time. Peace.